I am nameless, a name not to be recorded, nor needing to be recorded. My story begins in the grand hall of the Qin Kingdom, a time before the unification of all under heaven, an era both turbulent and magnificent. That day, I walked alone into the Qin King's palace. The hall was deep and awe-inspiring. Every step I took was on the edge of history. I was a humble Qin pavilion chief, yet I carried news momentous enough to shake the world I had slain: Long Sky, Broken Sword, and Flying Snow. These three were thorns in the Qin King's side, the top assassins from the Zhao Kingdom, and targets of the Qin King's bounty for a decade. With these three swords, I gained an audience with the Qin King, and the privilege of standing within 10 paces of him. The Qin King was suspicious of me, which was to be expected. He ordered Long Sky's sword to be verified, confirming it was indeed his. I recounted to the king my duel with Long Sky in the Go Parlor. It was a seemingly simple yet deadly confrontation. Long Sky's spear play was lightning fast and precise, while my sword play emphasized formlessness. In the Qin King's imagination, the battle was intensely fierce, with sword and spear flashing. Ultimately, I defeated Long Sky with a 10-pace kill move. The king listened with approval, but he didn't know that I wasn't telling the whole truth. Next were Broken Sword and Flying Snow. These two assassins were known to the world as lovers, and an inseparable duo. I told the Qin King that I found them at a calligraphy academy in the Zhao Kingdom. The academy was filled with the scent of ink and an unexplainable tension. I claimed I first defeated Broken Sword. In the Qin King's imagination, it was a struggle of strength and skill. Flying Snow, enraged by Broken Sword's death, engaged me in a breathtaking duel within the academy. She wielded her sword, conjuring a flurry of snow, and I, with my swordsmanship, eventually defeated her. The Qin King listened with keen interest, even drawing out the details for me, his eyes filled with the thrill of victory. However, the Qin King did not completely trust me. He pointed out a flaw in my story. Broken Sword and Flying Snow's deep affection meant Flying Snow wouldn't simply fight me to the death after his supposed demise. She would seek revenge. The Qin King's perceptiveness startled me, but he didn't know that it was this very insight that was pushing him closer to the truth. The Qin King proposed his own version, a story of betrayal and jealousy. He surmised that a rift existed between Broken Sword and Flying Snow, and that I exploited it. The Qin King speculated that Flying Snow harbored resentment because Broken Sword had a liaison with a woman named Ruyu. He imagined me using this jealousy to instigate conflict between them. In his mind, Flying Snow, in a fit of rage, stabbed Broken Sword, and I then seized the opportunity to kill Broken Sword. Afterward, I would then deal with a despairing Flying Snow. In the Qin King's version, Flying Snow's intertwined love and hate for Broken Sword caused her to lose her reason. I confirmed his speculation, further weaving this tale of passion and vengeance. In the Qin King's imagination, Flying Snow, in despair, launched a frantic assault against me and was ultimately defeated. The Qin King was convinced by this version, finding it more aligned with human weakness and his understanding of the assassin's world. He even marveled at my wisdom, believing I knew how to exploit the darker aspects of human nature. But he didn't know that it was precisely by making him believe this version that I could gradually dismantle his inner defenses. Once the Qin King was fully convinced by my story, he bestowed upon me high honors, allowing me to sit beside him, and even to take the sword by his side. It was then that I finally revealed the true story, the one known only to myself, Broken Sword, and Flying Snow. I hadn't come for Qin's reward. I had come to assassinate the king. Long Sky, Broken Sword, Flying Snow, and even Ruyu were all warriors from the Zhao Kingdom, sharing a common goal: to assassinate the Qin King, prevent him from unifying the 6 states, and end this endless war. My duel with Long Sky did happen, but he didn't die. He feigned death to earn me the Qin King's trust. He sacrificed his reputation simply to aid me. Broken Sword and Flying Snow, their affection was profound, and there had never been a rift between them. Broken Sword deeply loved Flying Snow, and Flying Snow deeply loved Broken Sword. There was no betrayal between them, only the spirit of chivalry for their country and people. At the Calligraphy Academy, Broken Sword revealed to me the true meaning of the characters for All Under Heaven. He used his sword's intent to write All Under Heaven on the ground, telling me that unification, perhaps, was the only way to end the war. He saw through the Qin King's ambition and understood the inevitability of unification. He gave up the chance to assassinate the king because he realized that killing the Qin King would only lead to greater chaos and more deaths. He wanted me to let go of vengeance and understand the Qin King's vision of All Under Heaven. Flying Snow didn't comprehend Broken Sword's choice. She was angered by his betrayal. So, Broken Sword deliberately allowed Flying Snow to wound him, making her believe he was seriously injured. And Flying Snow, to convince the Chin King that she had truly killed Broken Sword, also cooperated with me in staging a mutual destruction act. All of this was to enable me to bring the evidence, gradually approach the Chin King, and ultimately complete the assassination. The three of them sacrificed their lives, their reputations, and even their love, solely to bring my plan to fruition. Their purpose in dying was not for revenge, but for me to live until the moment I could change history. As I finished recounting the true story, the Chin King's expression shifted dramatically. He was shocked, he was angry, but ultimately, he fell into deep contemplation. He looked at me, his gaze no longer suspicious, but filled with complex understanding. He asked me if I would set aside vengeance for the sake of all under heaven. I picked up the sword by his side. The hilt felt heavy in my hand. I saw Broken Sword's lingering strokes, those two characters, all under heaven, resonating in my mind. The sword in my hand, once wielded for revenge, now carried a far heavier meaning. I saw the unwavering determination in the Chin King's eyes. Although he was a tyrant, his conviction to unify all under heaven was unshakable. He believed that only through unification could conflict end, and only then could the people be spared from the ravages of war. And I, as an assassin, my mission was to stop him. But Broken Sword's sacrifice, Flying Snow's choice, and Long Sky's cooperation made me waver in my mission. Ultimately, I chose to abandon the assassination. I put down the sword and walked out of the Chin King's great hall. I chose to believe Broken Sword, to believe in his all under heaven. I did not kill the Chin King. Instead, I allowed him to live and complete his great task of unification. As I walked out of the hall, the Chin King's command echoed, "Kill!" The Chin King's guards unleashed a volley of arrows at me. Arrows rained down. There was nowhere to hide. My life, at that moment, came to an end. I, nameless, a humble pavilion chief,